end of the American Civil War in 1865 brought a period called Reconstruction, during which 3 amendments were added to the U.S. Constitution that extended rights to African Americans. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery. The 14th Amendment declared that all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they reside. It also notes that states may not deny to any person the equal protection of the laws. The 15th Amendment establishes that the right to vote cannot be denied on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. We now know these constitutional protections proved inadequate to ensure the civil rights of African Americans. After Reconstruction ended, following the disputed presidential election of 1876, white supremacists regained control of city and state governments in the South. They enacted what were called Jim Crow laws, named for a stereotypical African American figure in stage entertainment at the time. These laws imposed racial segregation and deprived African Americans of their civil rights. As this segregation was imposed by law and government policy, it is called de jure segregation. These discriminatory laws were given a boost by Plessy v. Ferguson, an 1896 U.S. Supreme Court case that determined segregation laws for public facilities were legal as long as white people and black people were provided the same facilities, though in practice, the facilities were almost never equal. The 15th Amendment was also weakened as Southern states moved to deprive African Americans of voting rights. These laws, such as literacy tests and poll taxes, were unfairly applied to deny African Americans the right to vote. To protect white men from these laws, some states included grandfather clauses that exempted men who could not pay the poll tax or pass the literacy test from those restrictions if their grandfathers had been allowed to vote. These laws made sure that limits to voting applied only to African Americans and not to poor, illiterate whites. In the 1940s and early 1950s, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, mounted legal challenges against segregation. In several cases, the Supreme Court ruled that state universities or professional schools could not be segregated. This effort also won a major victory in Brown v. Board of Education, the 1954 U.S. Supreme Court decision that determined separate but equal public schools were inherently unequal. In this landmark ruling, the unanimous court declared racial segregation in public schools unconstitutional. This decision paved the way for the integration of public schools, though public school systems across the country resisted the change, and resistance in the South was particularly strong. The victory in Brown greatly encouraged civil rights groups. The resulting effort by many different groups to achieve equal political and social rights for African Americans is often referred to as the Civil Rights Movement. In 1955, African Americans in Montgomery, Alabama, began a boycott of the city's segregated bus system. The boycott was led by Minister Martin Luther King Jr. For more than a year, African Americans walked, carpooled, and otherwise refused to ride the city's buses. In late 1956, the Supreme Court held that segregated public transportation was unconstitutional, and Martin Luther King Jr. emerged from the Montgomery bus boycott as the central figure in the civil rights movement. Civil rights groups organized marches and demonstrations demanding an end to segregation and the protection of voting rights. Peaceful marchers were often attacked by police, sprayed with fire hoses, and arrested. In the summer of 1963, many groups joined in the massive March on Washington, which demanded an end to racial discrimination and the passage of a federal civil rights law. During the event, King gave his "I Have a Dream" speech, envisioning a day when all people will be treated equally. The peaceful demonstrations and the harsh response of Southern white people, particularly state and local government officials, increased public support for the movement. Under an intense push by President Lyndon Johnson, and in the face of equally intense opposition by Southerners, Congress responded by passing the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the federal law that banned racial segregation in voting, public facilities, public schools, federally assisted programs, and employment. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a major legislative achievement in the fight for civil rights. However, it did not eliminate racial discrimination or inequality. By the late 1960s, civil rights leaders increasingly focused on inequality in job opportunities and education. They also urged action outside the South, where African Americans were subject to de facto segregation, segregation that results from social norms or traditions. Today, African Americans are in a better position than in the past on many measures. For instance, more African Americans attend college and graduate schools than in the past, and the median income of African American households is higher. Deep inequalities remain, however. Median income is significantly lower for African Americans than for white Americans. The share of African Americans in prison is much higher than their ratio in the population as a whole. And schools, critics argue, are nearly as segregated as they were before Brown versus Board of Education. Moreover, police brutality remains a problem, though there have been organized efforts to address this in recent years. A legacy of racial profiling by police and several police shootings of unarmed African Americans in different cities has provoked anger and outrage, especially when police officers have gone unpunished. Because family members, friends, or even bystanders could record these incidents on smartphone cameras and publicize them on social media, these incidents gave momentum to a new movement called Black Lives Matter, which campaigns against systemic racism and violence towards African Americans.